What's up, YouTube? It's Saturday, it's video time again, and as you can tell by the time lapse at the first part of this video, this is going to be a build update video. We're going to talk about Steve's LT1 Camaro, a project we've had for a long time. It's getting down to the wire and there's not much left to do to it. It might actually be going home in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so I wanted just to go over front to back kind of what's been done to it, just as an overview, and what's left to do before it goes home while I had some time. So we're going to start at the back of the car. A lot of you know on our website we sell large vent tanks. They're designed to mount in the trunk, and this allows a large volume of crankcase venting, plus if it ever decides to dump the whole contents of the motor into the can, these cans are big enough to hold just about everything that's in the motor. Plus it puts it behind the tires is the main thing, because you don't want something puking out underneath the hood causing a fire or getting under your tires and causing you to hit the wall. So this week we have installed one of our large vent tanks. I'll open the hatch here in a minute. This kind of shows you how, when you put it in the trunk area of an F-body or a Camaro, for this instance, where it would come out your rear window or your Lexan. Now a lot of guys choose to put an elbow on it and run it out the back of the car. I have seen that recently. Actually, one of my friends, Doug Macy, he did that because he still had the factory rear glass and he didn't want to cut a hole in it. Or you can't cut a hole in glass, but you know what I mean. He didn't want to replace it with Lexan or worry about doing any of that, so he just run it out the back of the car, which is still fine. You just put an elbow on it and out the back you go. But on Steve's car, he's running our trunk delete panel. You can see we put a little trim ring around there. That kind of helps in case the Lexan, it tries to wiggle and bump the Lexan, it'll protect it from kind of cracking. We've seen that on grub worm. Open this real careful. So we've got it mounted here on our trunk delete panel, and we've got 16s going in. We've got an 8 drain in the back, which we put a 90 on and just run it straight on the ground. You can catch it with a can or something. I just hit myself on this other car. 2-inch stack. These stacks come straight up and down whenever I make them. They're like 20 inches tall overall from the bottom of the tank to the top of the stack. It's a trim to fit thing. For this one, we basically cut the hole in the Lexan first and then mounted the tank, and then we put the stack on later. It's just, that was an easier way for us to do it since it's here and we're going to be assembling it anyway. So got that took care of. I will, while I'm thinking about it, I will give a shout out to Horsepower Chris. He's got a YouTube channel, and I'll put the link down in the description. But he has done a lot of product reviews on our stuff. I think he's also got one of our vent cans. He's got our trunk delete panel. He's got the torque arm clearance cover. He's got our tube front kit. He's got a bunch of things, and he's done video reviews of installing them and talking about them and stuff like that, and we appreciate that. And I told him that I would give him a shout out on one of my videos whenever I'm talking about an F-body. So make sure you check out his channel. Remember, it'll be in the description, and he'll show you some of the install videos of some of the stuff that we might not have up on our channel yet. So again, this has got our 25.5 cage in it. This is a complete cage. We've done the cross member, everything, so it's complete 25.5. I also did the mini tubs. Anybody that's done mini tubs knows that that's probably the most least fun job of anything. These are Burkhart chassis mini tubs, I believe. We've got a set sitting back there from Midwest chassis, which are a little bit lighter weight than what these were. I think just a thinner gauge metal is all that's really the difference there. In here we got our torque arm clearance cover. Cars that are sitting on the ground, torque arm coming up through the floor. This would be a nice way to kind of cover it up and open it up. We also recently mounted the dash. Get this other side. You can see the column and stuff. This is a GlassTech dash. I think he bought it through Midwest Chassis, but fits actually pretty good. Trimmed out for the column there. Got some Zeus fasteners here on the side, 2 on each side that holds it in place. We trimmed it around the A-pillar. He also got the dash pad. This is a fiberglass dash pad, and anything fiberglass, it's not gonna fit absolutely perfect. Don't matter what company you go with. We've seen fiberglass parts from half a dozen companies, and every one of them are, you know, a trim to fit thing. The only guy I haven't dug into his stuff yet is Mike Kostick, and you can see over there in that crate we've got a whole crate of full carbon everything for Jonathan's Trans Am. So we'll see how that stuff lays out. He's got it, you know, fastened pretty good in that crate so it don't flex around and stuff. But this dash didn't fit too bad. I mean, I was kind of impressed on how good it did fit with very little trimming. But the dash pad, it's laid flat, so we had to kind of form it in the shape of the dash. We used some more Cleco thing here to hold it in place, notched out around the VIN number, and this will still have to be glued down and everything, and it's going to a body shop, so all that will be took care of by them. But it's fit in there, fits pretty good, and it wasn't really that bad to do. I will say, for you guys cutting the top off, doing the carbon tops like he's doing on this car, we put some little stringers out to this front band, because that thing, you can just push it with your arm and bend it. I mean, it's nothing, no support at all when you cut everything out. So you need to have something there to hold the wind, or it'll be doing like that going down the track. Underneath, it's got our subframe connectors, and I did a cross member with our cross member kit that we sell on the website. It comes with 4 foot of chromoly, the flanges, the hardware, all that stuff. Stuff that you have to make this cage be a complete SFI 25.5. So don't fall over the boxes there. Moving on to the front. This is where the fun stuff happens. We've got mostly a complete turbo kit, for the exception of the downpipe and the wastegate dump tubes. The turbo kit is complete. Now, he wanted exactly the look of grub worm, which I was pretty happy with that look. But with grub worm, if you watch the video, I pretty well done that whole setup in about 4 or 5 days. Really rushed, didn't get a lot of sleep, trying to do stuff for the shop during the day and also get that rushed through. So there were some things, especially with the headers, they come a little bit too high, which it looked like we had plenty of hood clearance, but we even put hood stoppers on the towers. If you go back the video, and you'll notice that, because Jonathan said the air going into the engine bay actually blows the hood up a little bit going down the track, and we didn't think it would be an issue. But his wrap is starting to discolor just a little bit right where the cowl and the hood goes up, and I don't like that. So with Steve's car, I actually built the driver's side header here and had it completely mocked up, and we had put the hood on already, and I actually had a string across here to get my height, and we put the hood on, and the hood touched, or it didn't touch, but it was so close it was gonna touch, and that just completely knocked the wind out of me on doing the headers. because nothing sucks worse than to work for a day or more and just basically throw that time away. But it's what you got to do sometimes. When I don't know whether I was in a hurry or what, but I should have put the hood on when I got about halfway through. But I usually, the way I do headers, I usually do the bottom primaries first, and then I'll do the top. So you really don't know, or I really don't know my clearance fully until I get at least one of them top primaries on. I just have to be about 90% sure. So that was an issue I faced with this. And I'm always honest with you guys. You know, these guys that just throw stuff together and it looks perfect the first time, or that's what they act like, that ain't true. Because even the guys that say they're the best or whatever, they're throwing stuff away too. So that's just part of it. But I redone it, and now I've got a ton of clearance. Something I'm really happy with, something I wish I had done better on Jonathan's. But that's part of fabricating, is learning from every setup you do what not to do on the next. And that's not saying that everybody is a guinea pig, but basically everybody is, because your skill should improve, not get worse, and you should learn from every mistake you make. So before I forget, this coolant setup for the heads, this is actually Grubworm's old setup. He doesn't run water at all anymore. Steve's going to run water for a little bit, see how it does, just through the cylinder heads. So he bought all that off Jonathan. We've got the Maven smart coil mounts. These are actually flat mounts that I bought for Rusty's 5th gen over here, and they would not fit in the hole that I wanted them to go in. So I wasn't going to send them back. I figured I'd just keep them and see if I could use them on something else. I started looking at Steve's, and he sent us some MSD smart coils, and I thought those things would look really good mounted on the firewall. Well, our newest employee, Cody, he got one set and I got the other set, and he was going to do what I said and mount them on the firewall, and then he held them up where they are now and said, looks like they would fit really good right here and be more out of the way. I said, you know what, you're right. So he mounted the coils right there behind the towers. So ain't that slick? Nice and tucked out of the way, away from the heat, off the firewall, because I forgot we had to still run bulkheads through the firewall to go to that vent tank in the back. So that's another thing I'll mention before I forget that. A lot of people have asked about what hose, or where do we get the hose that we use on Shelton's Trans Am, or what type of hose is it? And the answer is, if I can get it out of the package, the answer is, it is Hydromax is what it is called. It is a PVC style rubber, and it's got just, well, let me open it up here. You can see it's got just a slight corrugated look, but you can't really feel it that much. I'm not really a big fan of the swimming pool hose look, especially clear hose, because it's only clear for about twice running the car, and then it's nasty. So this black hose is cheap. I think it's about $75 for 50 feet, and it's lightweight. It's very flexible. You can bend that stuff in a hard 90 and it will not kink, just because of the winding in it and stuff. So that's a really good option for the burn down tubes, especially if you're going to the trunk with it. And I'll get to the billet parts we're going to do on the valve covers for the burn down tubes here in a minute. But going back over the turbo kit, we have dual seal clamps from Race Parts Solutions. All of our flanges come from Race Parts Solutions on the turbo, and for the cold side, the downpipe, anything like that comes from them. We've got Turbo Smart everything. Got the Turbo Smart Power Gate 60s with the compressed gas. We've got the Race Sport blow-off valves, the 50s. On the hot side, always the Streetcar Fabrication billet flange. Very nice piece, makes it really easy to fabricate. We got our 3.5 or 3.6 gallon fuel cell here with our billet lid. Got our insignia on it. This one has a 12 return and a 16 feed. And this is also our fuel cell protection kit or crash bar kit that you can add to your cart whenever you buy a fuel cell. It comes with notched pieces. They're already miter cut, and it comes with weld bungs that you can put on your tank. Which you can see, I usually just put one here, and one on the other side. And that's enough to keep that thing super rigid. I've not got the lid bolted on now because we're going to coat the tank. We got the 102 from Jose, forced inductions. Might have already said that. I'll say it again. Let's see. I think that's about it. Besides our tube front, that's obvious. This is an LT car, which usually retains the headlight tray, but on this one, we're keeping this, which is off like the 9802 cars, because we're going to just mount just the outside of headlights only, ditch the rest of the tray. This is more of a race car style, and because we've got all this stuff up here, we ain't got room for that big plastic tray around here. We got our scavenge pump here. It's a Turbo Works, the 300 I think it is, but that'll go right in the bottom of the turbo. This is our A-pillar bar kit and strut support bar kit. Comes with these 2 bars for each side. It's kind of like a do-it-yourself thing. It's already bent. The bends are already there. You just have to trim them to fit. We got our motor plate, 3/8 aluminum for the LT cars. We got the Wilson High Boost throttle body. This is a elbow from Shear Fab. We got the Tick Performance burst panel intake spacer. We also recently put travel limiters on it. I think those are UPR. All of them are the same. All the chromoly with the machine slot in it with the holes. The firewall. A lot of people have asked about the firewall. This is a Midwest chassis firewall, just a standard F-body setup like he sells. We just trimmed the top of it because Steve already had this little arch made, and the windshield's already fit to this, so we left that there and just cut the top of that firewall kit off to where it kind of hid up underneath there. But that worked out really well. Another thing, always put gussets on the wastegates. I got one here and I got one on the bottom. Sometimes I do a circle, sometimes I do a triangle. Sometimes, you know, it varies just depending on what I feel like for the day, really. A 4-inch cold side. The question that come up I'm gonna talk about right quick is the double slips. I've started putting these in the hot side because the stainless moves around so much, even when you weld it. Like I usually weld this thing in stages, tack it together with it on the car where it doesn't move, but when you weld it, it's gonna move, especially in a bend. That's where I found it moves the most. If you're cutting a wastegate hole in a bend, that's gonna move that pipe a lot in that bend whenever you start welding it. It's gonna draw it out or in. I mean, it's just gonna move. With the headers, I've had pretty good luck. I usually, when I weld them together, I've got a 2x4" aluminum block that's bigger than the header flange. I usually have it C-clamped to that block whenever I'm welding it together, and it does really good. But obviously you can't clamp it to a block whenever you're welding inside the primaries, so that's when it gets crooked. So usually after I've done that, I'll put it back on that block and I will heat it up really hot, and I will clamp it down against that cold block, and I will let that thing cool slowly all the way down. And then when I unclamp it, it's usually pretty flat without having to grind half the flange away. Putting them on a belt sander or surfacing a machine or something like that is ideal if you have access to that, but we don't have a belt sander that's big enough for the flanges, so that's what I usually do, and I've had pretty good success with that. So talking about these double slips and this hot side again, the question come up about how these things work. How do you weld them together? I seen somebody on one of the social media pages asking because they didn't come with any instructions. So the way this works, you've got this stub and this stub, and then you have this outer sleeve. But when you slide this all the way over this stub, these two stubs are different sizes. This one is going over this one. You always want to put the one that goes in the pipe in the direction of the flow. That's the same if you're running flex joints or whatever. You want the edge that's going back up into the flex coupler, or the edge, in this case it's pointing down going into the bigger pipe. You want that pointed in the direction of the exhaust flow. That way the exhaust don't try to go back under the lip. So this one's bigger, this one's smaller. This one slides into this stub, and then this one goes over the two until it bumps against where this one slides in, which is right in here. Then you weld this, and this creates a very, very tight slip joint right here, but it's still flexible enough to relieve stress off the pipe. But also when the heat expands between this stub, and that stub, it's pinching that gap closed where you're not going to have any leakage. I did these on the grub worm because Jonathan was taking the car apart so much to check things that he was having problems getting everything lined back up. Because you know how it is, if everything is hard mounted, when you take so many different things apart, if you move something that much back at the back of the engine up here at the front, it might be off that much. So that's what that's trying to prevent, is to allow it to move around a little bit where it don't get so misaligned when through the heat cycles. Which things are going to move, I don't care how you build them. Stainless moves a lot with heat. I think one of the Cook's exhaust systems for the 5th gen Camaro, I think that I was told by somebody that exhaust system grows half to a 3/4 or 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch in length whenever it's hot versus when it's cold. So stainless is a crazy metal. It moves about more than anything that I deal with. The aluminum will shrink. That's another thing you got to worry about with aluminum. This has turned into a tech tip video, but just things that I have experienced. When you tack the aluminum pipe up here, it don't matter how tight you have everything together. When you weld this joint, it's going to shrink. If you got 5 tacks, 10 tacks, whatever around there, when you weld it, it's going to pull it in just a little bit. So it is going to shorten your pipe. So your pipe always ends up being a little bit shorter than what you put it up there to be. That's why I usually clamp it together and get it fully mounted up. Try to tack it as many times as I can, try to prevent it. But with the dual seal connectors here, they really help to kind of absorb any kind of gap you might have. They'll still seal off great, so they're a good choice to use. But let's go over here and open one of these dual seal connectors, or not, sorry, not a dual seal connector, but a double slip out of the package, and I'll kind of show you how it works. Okay, so this is a 3-inch double slip from Vibrant, part number 13292. By the way, that is 3-inch pipe on the hot side. A couple thousand horsepower car. I've never seen one have trouble with spool with the big pipe. People would get in a rabbit trail about that, about it slowing the spool time down. You're supposed to run a drink straw to your turbo to up the, to keep the flow up high. I mean, all that's doing to a certain point is restricting the flow when your motor is turning 9,500 RPM flow in the air. The more efficient you can get that air to the turbo, the better. And the 3-inch pipe really is not, from what I've seen on data logs for cars that we have done that on, it makes no difference in the spool time. And we're doing it on stick shift cars, the ones that should suffer the very most from spool time. So, small piece, it's your bigger piece that's swedged out. Drop the smaller piece in. Exhaust needs to flow starting at the smaller piece and coming out here, because there's your lip. You don't want the exhaust to try to hit that lip on the inside. Then you're going to want to drop your collar down over the big piece. This will make it tight. So when you weld it, you're going to be welding this side, and the part that's pinched down on your collar. Because when you take it apart, your collar is going to be, well, it's hard to do it when it's not welded. Your collar is going to be stuck where my fingers are. This will come out. Camera will focus, see what you got. You got a really tiny slot that this can slide in. So you've got 3 layers of stainless here, all 16 gauge. So whatever wall thickness that comes up to, 180 or something like that of the wall thickness. So all that metal is expanding when it gets hot. Stainless moves a lot, I've done one over that. So it pinches this closed and there's no air leakage. But when it cools off, it relaxes. Or you're able to rotate it, see? Rotate it within there. Nothing different than a double slip header collector. Everything works the same way. So, again, comes to assembly, your small collar or your small stub goes on the uphill side, upstream side. Your bigger one that's swedged out goes on the downstream side. Obviously with the small side facing the exhaust, because if you buy 3-inch, this will be 3-inch, and this ain't gonna go on 3 inches, too big. So, put them together, collar drops on, you weld here, here, and around the pinch part. So what I do when I do mock-up, I don't put them super tight together. I usually will cut my stainless pipe just a little bit short, where maybe it's 1/8 of an inch or less of wiggle room, like that. I do that to allow for expansion and allow for me to move it. If I do it that tight and wedge the thing together, there's no movement there. There's movement side to side, but there's no front to back expansion room, because you put it as tight as it can possibly go. So leave just a hair bit of play in there to allow for the expansion and fit up. So that's just a little lesson on those. I hope you understood it. Like I said, I'm a horrible teacher. I just kind of explain it the way I know how. But another couple things that we got for the car we're going to talk about is, let's talk about this battery mount. This is the Go Lithium billet battery mount from Bomb Track Fabrication. They make several parts for Hammer Concepts as well for their rear end jigs I've seen. Small world, but guy's a good guy to deal with. I asked him some questions about the fit up of this as far as the battery we chose, and he was readily, you know, answering my emails and stuff. So good company to deal with. Bomb Track Fabrication. This thing wasn't but $150, I think 10 bucks shipping. So super sweet piece to mount your battery. We're going to mount it in the passenger floor. So we've used these before on Shelton Franks' Trans Am. These are, I'm not going to pull them out now, but they have a quick connect, double O-ring, 16. You just push that and that fitting pulls out. Really trick pieces to go on the valve covers. We're going to put them somewhere right in there, probably up front. Do bulkheads on the firewall, and then lines all the way to the back. We'll probably let him run the lines since we're not doing any of the finish work on the car. Make sure they're the right length. We're just gonna give him the whole 50 feet, let him take it home. So those are definitely nice pieces. I think I got it from RBS Superchargers is where I ordered these from. Really good people to deal with. They shipped out almost instantly. They come with a little template as far as cutting your hole in your valve covers. So that's about it for the update on his. I will talk about the things that we have left to do. We've got, I'll walk over here and show you. We've got some VFN doors over here. We've got to mount up. We've got to do that. We've got a door mounting kit from Tim McAmus. I didn't show you, but we switched out the lower control arms to the Midwest chassis lower control arms because he had those. But another thing we got to do an engine limiter. Motors that have motor plates, some guys just rely on the transmission to hold the engine still, but we typically put a engine limiter off one of the motor mount holes and back to the chassis. That keeps the motor from going back and forth on the motor plates, because the motor plates are super strong side to side, but they're not this way. I did put the bumper back on the car. And since I haven't cut the camera off, I'll just show you how it looks with that. Yeah, I still have to cut for the downpipe, but what looks meaner than a big 102 peeking out the front? I love the way this thing looks. This is like the meanest LT1 car I've ever seen. Whenever it come here, it didn't have this big layer of dust on it, and it was sitting good. And this thing is going to be a rowdy sucker at the track. It shows you how everything kind of fits in there. Anyway, stay tuned. We'll be coming with something else next Saturday. See ya.